So I recently completed a visual novel by the name of Island, developed by Frontwing, a visual novel company. My VN buddy told me about this one, so I thought, why not give it a shot? Island first launched in 2016, with an English edition released on Steam in 2018. It can be bought for about $40, though luckily I grabbed it while it was on sale last year. My playtime totals to about 27 hours, though Steam didn't record some of it as I play parts of it while offline. Not bad for length, I would say. An anime adaptation of Island aired last year in 2018, though the reception isn't exactly, well, you know. In this video, I will go over both the visual novel and anime adaptations of Island, discussing what I liked and disliked about the story and how each approach impacts the overall experience. The story of Island takes place on a remote island called Urashima, a few ways away from mainland Japan. In the visual novel, the player takes on the role of a young man washed ashore on the beach named Sanzenkai Setsuna. He suffers from amnesia and barely remembers anything about his identity, though faintly remembering that he has a mission to complete on the island, whatever it may be. It's here he meets three girls in his endeavors to uncover his true identity, Sara, Karen, and Rine, who just happens to be the heirs of the three ruling families on the island with a long-lasting feud between them. Like your typical Gao game, each heroine has a goal of their own, but these girls aren't able to change the fate of the island by themselves. However, of course, because Setsuna is a knight in shining armor, this self-proclaimed time traveler explores the problems of each heroine, all the while discovering the secrets of the Urashima island. I gotta admit, I wasn't too impressed with the main story routes. From the perspective of someone that's read a considerable amount of visual novels, I'm afraid Island falls a bit short. Setsuna as a character is memorable in his own ways. However, my problem, in my opinion, really lies with the story writing. Sara's arc has Setsuna and herself aiming to uncover the hidden truth of Sara's heritage. The ending was okay, but overall I didn't exactly connect with this one quite well. Karen's arc deals with escapism, though I did find the writing to be generic, with your typical happy ending with a small twist. Even Rine, aka the main girl, although has a small step up in terms of storytelling in her arc compared to the other two, I still found the romance aspect to be a bit dull. Overall, to rate the story routes in particular, I will rate a 7 for all of them. The visual novel features 17 different endings, as well as some bad endings. Lots and lots of bad endings. In fact, apart from the 4 main endings, the other 13 are all bad endings. Being the completionist that I am, I went ahead and got all of them, which allowed me to unlock every single CG, finally 100%ing the game. The main menu is also narrated by any of the 3 heroines of your choice, 6 if you've unlocked Never Island, the second installment to the story of Island. This is also my first time seeing a flowchart system in visual novels. This allows easy access to navigate through the different scenes of the story, giving the opportunity to pick out some unpicked choices, or simply revisit a particular scene. Like what I said before, the main storyline falls a bit short in terms of quality, but once all 3 routes are completed, Frontwing steps up their game with Never Island. Never Island, aka the Winter route, is a continuation of Rine's story route, taking place 10,000 years into the future, where Setsuna must reunite with Rine once more and save their past in a dystopian setting. This route is easily my favorite part of the story. It deals with many political and religious conflicts. Plus, the romance feels a lot more smooth and natural. If it weren't for the Winter route, I probably would have skipped this visual novel entirely. Completing the Winter route adds a completely new route into the main game, which can be selected once a new game is started, then choosing a separate option early on in the story. The plot twist of the first game surprised me quite a bit. When I booted up the main game a second time to reach the true ending, I couldn't believe how everything made sense. As I read Setsuna's hazy memories of his past once again in the intro, suddenly I understand the true depth of his character. Going down the new route, known as the Midsummer route, allows access to Rine's final ending, as well as the true ending to the story. During an oceanside discussion with Rine, the player must choose correct true ending flags in succession in order to reach the true ending. Pick one that's not required, and you will receive Rine's ending instead. Again, Rine's ending is pretty generic in my opinion, but I'm a firm believer that not all happy endings are good endings. That's where aka the true ending, comes in. I'm not sure how I feel about this ending. There is a final plot twist that comes in and changes your whole perspective on the characters that I'm not going to spoil until a bit later. As much as I appreciate plot twists in storytelling that completely subverts my expectations, I have quite mixed feelings about it. First of all, the true ending admits that Setsuna has committed incest, which I'm not sure is good or bad. Second, because he uses the time machine again to meet the other Rin once again, it made it feel that his journey back to Urashima didn't appear impactful at all. While the ending does have a sense of finality to it, the ending didn't spark any intrigue within me. Plus, if he's afraid to lose his memories again to cryostasis in the time machine, instead of scribbling his and Rine's name into the wall over and over, why not just write a letter or record info on a device about his actual mission to guarantee that he doesn't forget? There are also some plot holes in the way the true ending is set up, though I ultimately don't have much complaints about it other than how to feel about it. The anime adaptation of 2018 is a huge letdown. The rating on my anime list is about a 6 out of 10. That says a lot. But looking at the visual novel database, it's a whole other story. Frankly, the anime is a lot more rushed, featuring only 12 episodes, while the visual novel took me almost 30 hours to complete. I can't exactly make any comparisons between the two, as the anime has changed up the storyline quite a bit. They also swapped in a brand new OST, to the point where I can't even recognize some of the most iconic themes from the visual novel, and they even changed Sada's voice actress. The only thing worth discussing in the anime is definitely the final ending. It's quite different from the visual novel counterpart. I think it's really up to personal preference in which one people prefer. See, here I thought the true ending of the visual novel had some plot holes, but comparing it to the anime ending, there are now new plot holes. Allow me to break it down in detail. This part will contain some spoilers. You can skip if you wish. Alright, here goes. The supposed plot twist of the true ending is that Kuon, aka what we thought was Rine's mother all along, is in fact the Rine Setsuna met in the winter route. At some point, Setsuna had sex with Winter Rine, even though she was 13 at the time. Don't worry, she's legal, I swear. This is clearly depicted in the very first scene in the anime. After locking Setsuna in cryostasis, she regretted her decision and built her own cryostasis machine in order to meet Setsuna in the same era in the future. She also went into a frozen sleep state, along with her unborn child. Unfortunately, she got unfrozen a few years prior to Setsuna, and got conveniently placed as the head of the Ohara family, with the unborn child Rine as the heir. She renamed herself Kuon and waited for Setsuna to arrive and meet her. During the events of the main island storyline, Setsuna washes up on the beach with no memory of Winter Rine. He mistakes Rine, Kuon's daughter, to be the Rine he is searching for. Kuon didn't openly admit that Setsuna is the one she was waiting when he first arrived, as she thought Setsuna has already forgotten her. In the visual novel, as Setsuna confesses that he wishes to protect Winter Rine, aka Kuon, she becomes upset since he wasn't there when she needed him the most and fell in love with her daughter instead, which makes sense. I think she has every reason to be pissed. In the anime, on the other hand, Kuon just straight up forgives Setsuna. All the while Setsuna forfeits his relationship with Rine. They get married and bam, happy ending. This is pretty inconsistent in my opinion. Kuon has every right to be pissed with Setsuna. I can't imagine a parent not getting pissed when their husband or wife starts dating their own child. In the visual novel, Kuon didn't forgive Setsuna. He digs up the time machine once again and travels to the Ice Age where he first met Winter Rine and tries to fix his mistakes. Congratulations, we are back to where we started and just traveled in a circle. What the anime ending accomplishes is that all the bullshit is skipped, as many people thought it would make sense for Setsuna to just fix the problem right then and there in modern day, instead of dragging his ass back to the Ice Age to prove a point. Overall, the endings of the anime and visual novel had pretty much the same effects on me. There are just too many plot holes that can't be ignored. In terms of my expectations for the anime, it's not quite there yet. The awkward pacing, the lack of characterization, the dumbing down of all the story routes all contribute to a mediocre presentation. 6 out of 10. Hell, you can probably skip the first half of the series and it would still make sense. I would definitely skip the anime and just read the visual novel instead. In the end, Island deals with religion, science, and identity. While the themes themselves are pretty easy to pick out, the way they are introduced is not very effective. Given that Island is my first look at Frontwing's work, I can't say I'm exactly impressed. While the Winter and Midsummer routes are significant step-ups from the main routes, I would have appreciated it more if the visual novel was consistent in its quality. However, I think Island is a good starter to anyone starting out to read visual novels. With an easy-to-traverse storyline, semi-memorable characters, Island is actually not too shabby. It meets my expectations and nothing more for a quality story. I give the Island visual novel an 8 out of 10.